All right. We should be live here. Welcome, everybody, to my weekly Sunday live stream here on YouTube, where I do a weekly live stream every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, that is. So every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, coming to you live here from Nashville, Tennessee, here on YouTube. And always really look forward to doing these. These are always really cool. And it's amazing to be able to connect with all the people from all over the world that follow me here on YouTube. And I just answer y'all's questions, and any questions that you guys have for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box there. I'd be happy to answer any and all questions. The only questions that I try to stay away from are anything that's like advanced guitar techniques or music theory, stuff like this, or just what my approach is on guitar, just because I save that for my one-on-one lessons and for my students that I teach. But anything else is fair game, and I'd be happy to answer any and all questions. And like I was saying, I always really look forward to doing these. It's always just a lot of fun. Whenever I am here in town and I'm not on tour, I do this here every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, like I was saying earlier. Yeah, just always really look forward to doing these. It's always hard to do if I'm out on the road, just because we are normally traveling back to Nashville on Sundays, so I'm not able to do it then. But if I'm here in town, I'm here every week, every Sunday. Looks like here we already have Ben in the house. Hey, Ben, how's it going? Longtime supporter here of the channel and is a regular viewer of the live streams. Really appreciate you, Ben. Thanks so much for being here. Good afternoon, Justin. Hope everything is wee brother. Cheers, folks. Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it. Everything's good here. This week I was played on a session here from my home studio, played some acoustic guitar, which is really cool. And it was a really fun project. That was really awesome to work on. Just been knocking out some videos as well here on the channel, and the channel's growing, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I've just been getting ready here for some gigs that I'm going back out on the road in September. So I've been learning some songs and yeah, just keeping busy here. So it's been cool. Also teaching a lot as well. I'm teaching a lot of students here from YouTube, and I've got students now from all over the world. So everything's going well, and yeah, everything good. So I really appreciate you being here, Ben. Thanks so much. And speaking of that session, I just played some acoustic guitar and just used this Ibanez. Go ahead and grab it here. But pretty cool little acoustic. It just works well. You know, I've got to say it sounds good, and you know, it has a pickup in there, so I mic'd it up, and I also went direct into my UA Apollo, and was able to track this acoustic really well. There's just zero latency, and I just love that UA Apollo. It just really, really works well. But I've had this guitar since I was 16, and my dad actually got it for me way back in the day. And I have done hundreds of gigs with this thing. I mean, it's amazing. It's held up, and makes me a little bit nervous still touring with this guitar after all these years, but it still continues to hold up. So it's been good. And I really like the way it sounds, the way it plays. Needed a little truss rod adjustment that I just adjusted the other day. But other than that, man, it's pretty stable. So pretty cool acoustic, and works well. So that's what I used on this session that I was playing on this past week, and worked out really well. So there's that there. Shit. But I'm in the market. I'm looking around for some solid acoustics to bring out on the road. And I just tried out, just the other day, I tried out this Murphy Lab, it's like a 1960 Hummingbird reissue that I honestly have to say, it is really, really good, man. I thought that all of that stuff was going to be just kind of like marketing and just hype, and, you know, just... I thought it was all kind of BS, to be honest with you. But, man, when I tried it out, I tried that Hummingbird out, the Murphy Lab. And, man, this thing, it was just amazing, man. I could not believe how good it sounded acoustically. You know, it's just a very thin finish on the acoustic. And it's not a very heavy gloss or a heavy spray like they use on a lot of the other reissue acoustics, where it really affects the tone and even the back of the neck, you know, the way that it feels and how heavily that they finish the neck and just how much that they spray the back of the neck. It really affects the feel. Whereas the Murphy Lab, it's a very thin finish, and it just plays so well, man. I mean, it just sounded amazing acoustically. And I have to say, man, that I'm definitely a believer in that Murphy Lab stuff, man. It really, that hummingbird sounded amazing. They're not cheap, of course. They're insanely, insanely expensive. And to be honest, I don't really understand why acoustic guitars are priced the way that they are. It's just insane, and I totally understand that, you know, it's a process to make this stuff, and you know, it's really amazing stuff. You know, this craftsmanship and what all goes into building these acoustic guitars. But man, oh man, are they insanely expensive. But I've got to say, man, that Murphy Lab was amazing. So it's really, really cool acoustic, and I'm definitely a believer now in that Murphy Lab stuff. Like I say, I was a little skeptical to begin with, but really getting the stuff in my hands, I was like, wow. I mean, I compared this Murphy Lab hummingbird to a reissue hummingbird acoustic, and acoustically, it just blew it out of the water. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, the reissue just sounded very stiff and just very bright, and whereas the Murphy Lab sounded so warm and just beautiful, and these notes and the riffs and stuff were just flying off of this acoustic. I mean, it just sounded so musical and just beautiful. It was really, really special. But the only thing with these Murphy Labs is that they don't have a pickup in them. And that's the biggest thing that I'm kind of looking for right now at the moment, because I'm doing a lot of gigs acoustically right now, and I need to have a pickup, because trying to mic up an acoustic live is just a nightmare. It's just a disaster. I mean, you could run into all kinds of feedback issues, and it just is not ideal at all in a live situation. So having a pickup is a lot more convenient, but my rant with the acoustic pickups is that they really change the way that the acoustic guitar sounds. It really affects the overall tone of this acoustic guitar. And it doesn't really matter how much you spend on acoustic guitars. You know, you could spend $4,000 or $5,000 on an acoustic guitar, but at the end of the day, it's still going to have the same acoustic pickup. You know, whether it's an LR Bags or if it's a Fishman or whatever the hell it is, all of these acoustic electric guitars are all going to have somewhat of a similar pickup. And I've never heard of any acoustic guitar pickup that actually accurately grabs the actual acoustic guitar sound. It really, really changes the way that the acoustic sounds. And it doesn't matter. Like I say, you could spend $4,000 or $5,000 on an acoustic, but the pickup will still change the way that the acoustic guitar sounds. So, you know, I really have to say, though, that with that Murphy Lab, it doesn't have a pickup, but I think it would be really cool to just have around in my home studio to be able to, you know, write these riffs and to write songs and to record for at-home sessions that I'm doing for people's songs. You know, that's something that has really picked up as of late, and it's really been amazing. So, you know, I can mic up this acoustic here in my little home studio and really get some amazing sounds. So in that case, the Murphy Lab would really be great. You know, it doesn't have a pickup, so I can't use it live, but for recording and for writing songs, for inspiration, I think it would really be amazing. But it's a lot of money to drop on a acoustic that is just going to be at home, and I'm not going to be taking it out on tour, where I have a lot of acoustic gigs coming up. So I need something with a pickup, and that's why I'm kind of thinking to just honestly find a cheaper acoustic that is somewhat similar to like my Ibanez, that I can just take out on the road and not worry about it. And man, it's going to have a Fishman or an LR Bags pickup or whatever, and it's just going to do what it does. But it's a pickup. It works well. It's convenient. And I can just go direct into the front of house and monitors. And, you know, it's just a consistent tone every night. So that's going to be my approach there. But let's see here. We got Jimmy in the house. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Let's see. Hey, Justin, I was offended at first at Murphy Lab pricing, but the alternative is find a true vintage that's in good shape and they're top dollar. Yeah, that's true too. You know, when you're spending that kind of money, you could definitely find like a pre-65 Hummingbird for how much that the Murphy Lab stuff is. But just in my opinion, I've always stayed away from vintage acoustics because there is so much up with them. I mean, there's a neck reset, or the bridge is coming off of the body, or there's some kind of a crack, or there's something up with it. And that's why, honestly, with these vintage acoustics, I've always stayed away from them, just because there is so much up with them. And that's what I do like about the Murphy Lab thing, is that it's all new, right? So it's all, you're not going to have to do a neck reset. You're not going to have to worry about a crack or, the bridge coming off the body or something like this. So it's going to be a lot more consistent. And honestly, what I do like with the Murphy Lab thing is that the finish is so thin on this acoustic. And the finish really affects the way that the acoustic guitar sounds acoustically. These reissues that they pump out, the finish is so thick, and the gloss and the spray that they use on it, it's so thick, it really affects the way that the acoustic sounds. And I'm telling you, man, I compared this Murphy Lab Hummingbird versus just a reissue Hummingbird that they had on the wall there, and this thing just blew it away, man. It was just a night and day difference acoustically. I couldn't believe how much better it sounded. And I'm definitely a believer, man. I've got to say, that thing is really, really amazing. But I've just always personally stayed away from vintage acoustics just because there's so much up with it, like I was saying. But I understand, hey, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. So, but yeah, really price-wise, you really could find a, pre-65 Hummingbird that's, really close in price, like I was saying. So you could definitely find one, but it's just a lot of these acoustics, man, there's so much up with them. So that's why it makes me a little hesitant to go the vintage route for acoustics. For electrics, totally different story. Totally different story. Let's see. John's in the house. Hey, John, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. How do you go about being an accompanist on acoustic? Really just listening to the singer, listening to what they're playing. If they're playing acoustic guitar, changing up your chord voicings, right? Don't play the same thing that the other acoustic guitar player is playing. Do something different. You really want to have a wide stereo spread of acoustic where, you're playing a different voicing for a major chord or minor chord or whatever it is you're playing. Think of just, coming up with good voicings, find spaces within a song to, add a fill or, just really listen into the other musicians that you're playing with. If it's just a singer, really listen into the singer and what it is that they're doing. If you're just playing solo acoustic, you're going to want to play bigger voicings, because you want to be able to really fill this mix and really fill out the sound. And the overall mix and what it is that you're playing for this acoustic duo gig. But if the singer is also playing acoustic, like I was saying, change up your voicings, change up what it is that you're doing. Don't just play the exact same thing that the other acoustic player is playing. You want to change it up and, do something different. Get this really wide stereo spread, this wide acoustic duo sound for sure. It's a really great sound when you do that. But like I say, don't just play the same thing that the other person's playing. Change it up. Change up the voicings. Let's see. Jimmy says here, very true. My old J50 is constantly in need of attention. It never comes out, but it sounds great when mic'd up to record with. Right. And that's the thing. They sound amazing under a mic. So that's kind of the thing that you have to weigh out when you're comparing the Murphy Lab to a vintage one, right? Is like, the Murphy Lab one doesn't have a pickup, and you're literally going to be doing the same thing. You're just going to, literally mic it up, and, that's it. You're just going to be recording with it. You're not going to plug it up. You're not going to have it, in a PA system, and that's kind of another thing. You have the old wood then with the advantage of the vintage acoustic, which is cool. But I don't know, man. I just like with that Murphy Lab how it's all new and there's no neck resets. There's, it plays great. It stays in tune really well. I don't know, man. I'm really, really sold on it. So we'll see. But I would like to compare that with a pre-65 real deal Hummingbird. That would be really cool. I would love to shoot those two out and see what they sound like acoustically and actually even record with them. That would be really cool. I would love to hear that. Let's see. Jimmy says here, got a cheap Takamine that I take out and it does the job. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, looks like we got a super chat here from Anders. Thanks so much, Anders. I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. I'll give you some sound effects here. Hell yeah. Let's see. Anders says here, thank you for all you do. Great stuff. Available for a lesson this coming week. Yeah, man. Just send me an email, jkm4231@gmail.com. Be happy to get you down on the schedule. But yeah, I really appreciate you, Anders. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks for the super chat. Would love to teach you for sure, man. Yeah, definitely. Just send me an email and we'll get it all scheduled. So really appreciate it again. Thank you, Anders. Let's see here. Hamil444 is in the house. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Just curious, whether it's an acoustic or electric, what are your thoughts on having your instruments plucked by a pluck machine? Do you find it generally makes the world of difference? They say it does. The pluck is a really impressive thing, man, for sure. I've never really messed with it. I've never had an instrument plucked before. I don't know if it's really necessary. I mean, my whole approach with these instruments is I just pick it up off the wall, and if I personally bond with it and it feels good, the frets feel good, there's no sharp edges, the intonation is good, I just completely go by ear and whatever feels good to me. I'm sure the pluck machine would be, a great thing to keep the whole fretboard consistent and everything. But, honestly, I just go about it where whatever feels good to me, man, is what I do. I'm sure it would be beneficial for sure. But honestly, if an instrument feels good to me, I don't want to mess with it whatsoever. I just leave it as is, even if it's imperfect, if it's not, totally spot on perfect. I just don't want to mess with it. I just leave it as is, and I know it. I every single time I pick it up, when I'm bending a note, I know exactly where to bend to because I just know these instruments so well. And it's yet again another reason why I don't want to have a lot of different instruments, because I want to really be able to know these instruments. So every time that I pick them up, they're set up perfectly. I know exactly how they feel. When I go in for that whole step bend, I know right where to bend to that pitch because I know this instrument. I know it that well. All of these instruments are set up really perfectly, and these instruments need constant attention, and that's another reason why I don't want to have a lot of different instruments. So that's why I only have like 8 electrics, which may sound like a lot, but it's not really that many. I just really look at it from, being able to get these different tones and these different sounds. So, P90, a single coil, Jazzmaster is a very unique sound, a Les Paul, an SG, a Firebird 5, right? Very bright kind of Firebird tone there. They're all different, Strat, it's all different. But yeah, really with the pluck machine, I've never really messed with it. I'm sure it's a great thing, and it's just keeps everything totally perfect. But I don't know, man. I just go by feel, and that's just what my approach is. If something feels good to me and I really like the way it plays, I'm not putting it under any machine. I'm not changing it whatsoever. I'm leaving it as is. But let's see. We got Mike in the house. Hey, Mike. How's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Love your talent and your content. Thanks so much, Mike. That means the world to me, man. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for the kind words. It really means a lot to me. And, folks, these live streams are truly a donation of time. If you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you guys would like to support this channel, any and all support is really appreciated. As I say, these live streams are truly a donation of time. I just like to come on here and connect with you guys and answer y'all's questions and just show my appreciation for all the love and all the support that you give me here on YouTube. So any and all support is really appreciated. If you guys want to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, or throw a little super chat here on today's live stream, any and all support is really appreciated. Also, check out all of my links linked down below, folks. I'm teaching people from all over the world. I offer one-on-one consultations. If you would like guitar lessons, or if you'd like to just consult me on the music business or a pedal board setup, whatever it is you want to turn these one-on-one consultations into, we could go there. So just send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com for some more information on there. I'd be happy to get you down in the books today. So just send me an email. I've got several other links linked down below there in the description box as well. I'm a Sweetwater affiliate partner. I just get a small little commission off the sale. If you want to buy a deluxe reverb or a Nobels ODR1 or whatever the hell you're trying to buy, go to Sweetwater. They're a really amazing retailer, and they have literally everything. And if you guys were already looking to buy something, you know, I just get a small little commission on it. It doesn't cost you guys anything extra whatsoever. I just get a small little percentage on it, and it's a cool way to be able to support the channel. So check out all the links linked down below in the description box and ways that you can support this channel. Once again, any and all support is really appreciated. It really helps me out with making these videos and going live here. You know, any and all support is really appreciated, as I say. So let's see here. We got John here. Do you like Mike Landau? Yeah, great player for sure. Definitely. Let's see. Jimmy says here, your guitar collection covers the spectrum pretty good. Yeah, definitely. I would say so for sure. You know, I've kind of got all of the flavors. You know, I've got the P90 sound with the TV Yellow double cut special. I've got a 69 Les Paul custom for the, you know, fat Les Paul tone. Of course, you got to have a Les Paul. The Fender Jazzmaster is a very unique sound. And I really love the trem system on there, man. It works really, really well. Really unique sound. And then I've got a 63 Les Paul, which is the SG body, of course, but it's technically called a Les Paul, where the SG just kind of gives you this mid-rangey thing, and it's not as big and not as fat as a Les Paul, which is really cool. And I really like the SG. It works really well in a mix for sure. So that's a very unique sound. I have a 64 Fender Strat as well. That those single coil pickups are some of the best that I've ever heard. And honestly, it's the best Strat I've ever played in my entire career. I absolutely love that thing. And then I have a 64 Firebird 5 that I absolutely love. It's a very unique sound as well. Very bright, but really pairs well with like a Nobles, because you get this, you know, very dark kind of low to medium gain drive off of the Nobles ODR1. And when you run the Firebird 5 into it, you get this very bright guitar sound that goes into that Nobles. So they really pair well together, you know. I really love that guitar, and I'm just very fortunate to have this stuff, you know. I also have a Fender Esquire that has a single coil pickup that really works well for the chicken picking thing. And I intentionally went with a maple neck Fender Esquire with the single pickup because I wanted the most amount of top end possible. And when you have a maple board, the maple just gives you a little bit more bite, a little bit more snap. And that's really what I look for when I go in for like that chicken picking thing. I really want there to be a lot of top end, and I really want this guitar to really just jump out when I'm going in for that chicken picking thing. So I intentionally chose a maple board. I normally like rosewood for tellies and strats, which my Strat is a rosewood board, and it just sounds incredible. But for that chicken picking thing, and for some of these traditional country artists that I work with, I need that real bright, just, you know, a lot of top end guitar sound happening when I'm going in for that chicken picking thing. So I really like that guitar. And honestly, I really think that the single coil pickup with no neck pickup, it really makes a difference. It really does make a difference, I think, in the top end. And it's interesting because even on that Fender Esquire, as I back off the, so there's a 3-position switch on there. You have the first position where it's just the volume control. Then you back it off into the middle position. Now you have the tone control active in the circuit. And then the back position is the mud cap. But I hear a difference even from when the volume control is the only thing active in comparison to when the tone control is active. You lose a little bit of top end even with the tone control on 10. It does make a difference. And when you just have the volume control just on with one pickup, no neck pickup whatsoever, it is the most top end available out of that single coil pickup, in my humble opinion. I think it really does make a difference with just having that one single coil pickup versus having a neck pickup and a tone control always active. It really, really does make a difference. So I'm really, really happy with my instruments that I have here. I would like to get an R9 Les Paul, because that's something in the future that I would like to do just for all of the touring gigs that I'm on. I just want to be bringing out 2 electric guitars where I just have an R9, just a 59 reissue Les Paul, and a Fender Esquire. And I really feel with those 2 guitars, I could get anything done that, any kind of sound that I need for any of the gigs that I get hired on for. So, that really would be great. And then this way too, I can just leave my vintage stuff here in my studio. I can record with it and just use it myself rather than taking it out on tour and having to worry about it. So, of course, depends on the gig, depends on the artist I'm working for. I have the option where I can bring this stuff out if I wanted, but for the most part, I think an R9 and an Esquire would be great to bring onto the road. So. Let's see. We got 1002 Northeast in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it as always. Let's see. Hey, Justin, I checked out the RJM, I think you mean there, RJM gear, and found their line mixer a real help. Also, their triggering applications are really good for implementing rack gear and floor pedals. Thanks very much. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad you're enjoying that stuff. I mean, I think RJM makes the best stuff available. If you're going that route, if you're trying to implement pedals with rack gear and you're running MIDI and all of this stuff, I think RJM is absolutely the best that is available. This stuff works incredibly well. It's not personally like for me, just because I like to have like a pedal board set up with just pedals in front of me and running it into like a deluxe reverb or something. But I could see it being very useful to just have it all on a switcher where you just have a tech or something like this, and the pedals are all in a rack. It's all just, from a production standpoint, just very solid, and just everything's off stage. And, for a lot of artists that just want to be able to just perform, the stuff is awesome, where the tech can just make all the changes for them. And, it's just all controlled by that RJM stuff. It seems like it works really, really well. So if I was going that route, that's definitely what I would use. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's awesome. Let's see. John says here, who do you think are the most underrated and overrated guitarists in Nashville? Oh man, I don't want to diss anybody. There's a lot of great players here. For sure. I mean, there definitely are. There's some great players. I think something that I just would say with a lot of the touring musicians, is like, and this is something that I've talked about in the past, is like, for me, I love touring and I really enjoy it, and it's great. I love to perform for people and share the art and share the music with folks. But it's always something I've always dreamt about being a studio player and about being more in the studio and being a session player and really being able to create something, That's a huge difference between a touring player and a studio player, right? Is that as a touring player, all you're doing is just recreating what somebody else has already created, right? It's very simple, really, very easy to do. And here in Nashville, you can get a touring gig. I mean, there's so many tours going out. There's so many artists, and, you just work with all kinds of different artists. I mean, that's what I've done for the past decade here at this point almost. And it's crazy. It's almost been almost 10 years already, a decade. It's crazy, man. But, you're just recreating what somebody else has already laid out for you, right? In this recording, you just have to be able to hear it. Whereas if you're in the studio and you're a session player, you have to be able to actually create this music. You have to create these parts. You have to come up with this stuff on the fly, and that's a huge thing, man. I mean, that's a really, really impressive thing. And I think that really takes your playing and makes that musician and really takes them just to another level. I mean, to be able to create this stuff from nothing is just incredible. And that's something with here on my YouTube channel that I create all the time. I create all of these intros that you hear in all of my videos. They're all created from nothing. I just hear this stuff and I'll come up here and I'll start playing my instrument. And all of a sudden, these riffs and these ideas start coming out because I'm hearing this stuff. And, I just hit record. So it's a very quick process for me, but I'm able to create this stuff. And that's why I really feel that I would be really good in the studio because I'm able to really create a lot of this stuff on the fly. I come up with this stuff all the time. And that's just something I would say that is a huge difference with a lot of the Nashville musicians here, is that there's a lot of really great musicians. But I just would say that if you're a touring guy, right, all you're doing is just recreating what somebody else has already done, which is great, man. And that's awesome. It takes talent to do that. But I really have a lot of respect for guys that can really come up with something from nothing. That is just so impressive to me. And I just love that. And that's really my dream, in the future. I would love to be in the studio and be more of a session player, where now I'm starting to get a lot more at-home session work, which is really cool. And I have a little studio here in Nashville that it's been keeping me busy, which has been cool. I've been playing on some more songs as of late, and it's really a lot of it has stemmed from here on YouTube, playing on different people's songs, and it's really amazing what YouTube has done for me in my career. It's been awesome. So I'm really looking forward to the future, and I'm just going to keep pushing here, and yeah, that's definitely the dream, though, for me. I would love to be in the studio more often, for sure. Let's see. We got Bjorn here in the house. Hopefully I said your name right. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Have you tried Todd Sharp's vacuum tube loop driver? Yeah, man. I tried it out a while back. Todd's a friend, and he's just awesome, man. He makes some really, really solid stuff. I mean, really does good work. I've had him repair amplifiers and stuff over the years, and they just do really good work. So if you're trying to get work done, go to Nashville Amp Service, man. They're really great, and they do awesome work. But yeah, it's really cool. That loop driver is awesome. It's really solid, and that's a great product for sure, man. Todd does really good work for sure. Oh, let's see. I'm a little bit behind in the comments. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Jimmy says here, a Telly needs to sound like a Telly, especially in Nashville. Maple gives you the spank. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. You just get a little bit more top end and a little bit more out of the maple versus rosewood, which for that chicken picking thing, that's what I really go for. So. Let's see. Speaking of Nashville, I hear they're setting up a dirt bike track on Broadway. The new Nashville for sure. Wow. That's wild, man. I haven't even heard that. That's crazy, man. Wow. A dirt bike track on Broadway. Okay. Well, anything goes down there. That's for sure. Especially over at Kid Rock's Big Ass Honky Tonk or whatever it's called. Excuse me. Let's see. Hey, Pedro's in the house. Hey, Pedro. How's it going? Hi, Justin. Finally caught you live. Thanks so much for being here, Pedro. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing great. Yeah, man. All is good. I'm just busy, man. Been working, and just been cool, man. I've been making videos and been doing more session work here at the house, which has been really cool, and teaching people from all over the world. So it's been awesome. Let's see. Anders says here, have you ever played a Ibanez RG550 or any pointy rock Ibanez's? Yeah, man. I used to have a J Custom model when I was young, when I was really coming up and like really learning how to play in some of my early bands that I was in. I was really into like shredding and really like heavier music like Metallica and Megadeth and all this kind of stuff. I was playing in a lot more bands that were doing that kind of thing, just covering those songs, and it had like a Floyd Rose, so I was doing dive bombs and all that shit, and it was fun, man. It was just a shreddy guitar, and I started picking up the shred technique, like playing really fast and playing a lot more legato kind of style guitar playing when I was at that age. But then I started getting older and older, and I started realizing like, oh man, I really love like vintage Gibsons, and I've always been such a huge fan of Gibson guitars. I just am obsessed with vintage Gibsons, like 60s, especially Gibsons. I just absolutely love them, and I still have a thing for Gibsons after all these years. It's like ever since I've seen Jimmy Page play a Les Paul, and some of my favorite guitar players play a Les Paul, it's just always stuck out of my mind. And when I was a kid, I always dreamed about having a Les Paul, someday and stuff. And, I when I was like, I forget how old I was, but I got a Les Paul Studio because back in the day, there was really no good cheap option. It was either you had a Esquire Strat for $99 that was terrible, or you could get like a $1,500 Les Paul, and that would be like a decent guitar. But it was a Les Paul Studio, and that's what I ended up getting, was a Les Paul Studio. But I always dreamt of having like a Les Paul Custom, or a 59 reissue or something like this back in those days, but I just couldn't afford it. So I used to mow yards and stuff, and used to work, and do whatever I could to try to afford that guitar. So, I wound up getting that, and it was cool, and it really really helped me. It really inspired me to play more, and I really learned a lot, And I just realized that where I'm going with this is, I just realized Gibson guitars were definitely more of my thing in comparison to like a shreddy Ibanez guitar. But every instrument serves a purpose, Some of the Floyd Rose thin neck electric guitars, they serve a purpose for sure. So to each their own. There's no right or wrong way. And something that I always say with these instruments, is it's all about what inspires you to play, what brings out the best in your playing. There's no right or wrong way to go about it. Everybody's different. It's all about what inspires you to play music and to create something. And, so that's just what I would say there. Let's see. But, I have to say, like, Ibanez is a very solid company, man. I mean, I have this cheap Ibanez acoustic that works really well, man. I mean, I got it when I was like 16. My dad got it for me. It was like a $300 acoustic, and it was my first acoustic, and I still use it. I mean, I've done hundreds of gigs with this thing. So it's a solid company, man. They make good stuff. And even those the Ibanez Destroyer, that would be a really cool guitar to have, man, especially like the Eddie Van Halen era, like when he used the Ibanez Destroyer. That is a tone, man. That is a sound, those are cool. I would love to have one. Let's see. Pedro says here, hello from the French Alps. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for being here, Pedro. I really appreciate it. And once again, folks, if you guys feel like you got something out of this live stream and you guys want to support this channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo Tip Jar or the PayPal Tip Jar. Or if you guys want to throw a little super chat here on today's live stream, any and all support is really appreciated. And also check out my one-on-one online lessons, folks. Send me an email today at jkm4231@gmail.com. Take your guitar playing, your musicianship to the next level. I'm teaching people from all over the world. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the end of the lesson. This setup that you're seeing and that you're listening to right now on this live stream is the exact setup that I use for my lesson program. It's all shot in a 4K definition camera, totally pro video and pro audio, and it's just a really amazing platform. There's no freezing up, no glitching up, and I totally understand there's some people at first that may be a little bit hesitant because they don't really know how it's going to go, but I'm telling you, man, I really stand behind the quality of this stuff. It really, really works well. I teach a lot of concepts within these lessons. It's not just shot on an iPhone where there's a bunch of shaky video or kind of, random audio, like not so great audio. This is very professional and it's really well done. And I really wanted to make this thing really good. I'm a quality snob and I really, really care about this stuff being good. And I would want it to be good. Like if I was paying to have a lesson, this is how I would want it to be done. So that's how I set out to do this, and I'm just really, really loving this platform. So for some more information on this, send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com. Be happy to get you down on the schedule today. And I've also got several other links linked down below in the description box in ways that you guys can support this channel. Once again, any and all support is really, really appreciated. Thank you. Let's see. Where was I here in the comments? Here we go. Okay, yeah, this is where I was. John says here, so would you say most road guys in Nashville aren't super great? Man, I mean, again, I don't want to diss anybody or anything. But, there's a lot of really talented musicians out there, for sure, man. I mean, A lot of bands nowadays play to tracks, so that's just kind of the norm, so a lot of the guitar players and a lot of the musicians are actually doubling up with actual recorded tracks, the actual stems from the record. And I'm not going to name any names whatsoever, but I was pretty disappointed. I remember there is a really big country duo that has this really amazing acoustic guitar solo that I absolutely love on the record. It's an incredible solo. And I was looking forward to hearing this live, and I actually had done some direct support gigs with this band. But, I remember waiting to hear this acoustic guitar solo, and I was looking at the guitar player that they had on stage there, and I'm waiting for him to go into this solo because I wanted to hear it, and I wanted to hear it live too. I wanted to hear how he performed it. And, when the solo is playing, I just see that he's playing chords, right? And so what they had done is they had just put it on the track. So the solo was just on the track, and, he's just up there playing the chords, right? So it's just kind of something, nowadays with a lot of the touring, it's changed so much where, you have to realize that a lot of the musicians that are on there, don't get me wrong, there's very talented musicians for sure. But, going out on the road and going on tour, it's a huge commitment for somebody. You have to leave your family. You have to go out on the road. A lot of the time, it's just weekend warrior stuff where you're out Thursday through Sunday or through Monday or whatever. And, once again, I'm not dissing any of the touring stuff. There's a lot of really talented musicians out there for sure. But it is kind of something that now with the tracks and all the technology that is available, right? It's kind of like with a lot of these artists, it's like, okay, well, this is who we've got for this weekend, or this is who can actually commit to working and going out on the road, and it's just not really thought about in the same way that it would have been, back in the 80s or back in the 90s or whatever, right? I mean, it was all about like hiring the best guys for the job, where now like there's all these tracks available and stuff, and if a player can't really play a guitar solo like the record, or they can't learn it like the record, they'll just put it on tracks, and then they'll just, front of house will just boost up the track level and stuff. And so it really has changed a lot, with the live thing for sure. And, like I was saying earlier, it's a huge commitment for somebody to go out on the road. You got to think about like, man, you're leaving your family, you're traveling a lot, you're sometimes gone for a couple weeks, where a lot of the time it's just a weekend warrior kind of thing where, like I was saying, you're just out Thursday through Sunday. But it is still a huge commitment, and I think with tracks and stuff, a lot of artists are just kind of like, well, we were able to find these guys for this weekend, or, we could use these guys for a tour and see how it goes kind of thing. And it's like, well, these guys were actually able to commit to doing this, so I guess we'll just roll with these guys, It's not really thought about as like, man, let's really rehearse this down and really get, incredible players to really recreate these songs live and, create a special moment. And don't get me wrong, like I say, there are very talented bands and very talented musicians out there. There's no question nowadays for sure. And I think with the tracks, if they're used in a certain way, right, where it's just to complement the band, right? Like maybe if the song has some kind of hip hop elements to the music, then you're going to need tracks to be able to fill out that sound, right? And there are certain limitations to a 4 or 5 piece band, but honestly, I love those limitations. I love seeing real human beings playing real live music and fighting and trying to get this solo exactly like the record, and trying to really play this stuff down and real harmony, vocal harmonies, right? Like real guitar playing, no tracks, right? Just real live musicians, real human beings playing real live music. That's what I really like. But it's just changed a lot. All of these bands, they're all on tracks, all of them. They're all on tracks, well, at least the majority of them. I mean, it's incredible. So, where, like I say, I think the tracks are cool, and I'm not dissing that whatsoever. I think there is a certain way to be able to utilize the technology and use the tracks to really benefit, and to really make this performance incredible, this bigger than life performance and production. And the tracks, they also control other things too, right? Like the video wall, for example. Like if you're having a video play and the backdrop of this video wall where it's synchronized to the music and to the actual performance, well, you have to use technology to use that stuff. So it is a lot more in depth than it just being the actual stems or the tracks from the record itself, right? It's also, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's controlling lights. If the guitar player has a Kemper thing or some kind of a MIDI thing, to do program changes, it'll also control that as well. It'll control video wall, like I was saying. And, it's very in depth. So a lot of these headline bands, they want to put on the best show possible. And I totally understand that. And I think it's cool. But like I was saying, I love seeing real live human beings, real live musicians, live music, people that are really playing live, not just tracks. So anyways, let's see. Jimmy says here, you'd be an asset to any artist in the studio. You're a well thought out and a hell of a player. Thanks so much, Jimmy. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love being in the studio and creating. I've done some session work over the years here in Nashville. Excuse me. But yeah, I love being in the studio. I love creating. And, as I say, with these intros here on YouTube, I create all of this stuff myself. I'm a one-man show here on YouTube. So yeah, but I really appreciate that, Jimmy. Thank you. Let's see. 1002 Northeast says here, I sat in last night at a blues gig. It was humbling to say the least. My fingers were not working right. What's your way of controlling nerves and your warm-up routine? Oh, man, that sucks that your fingers weren't working right. For me, I don't get nervous at all. I just go up there and do my thing. I'm confident in that. I know the music. I know the songs. I know what I'm going to be playing. And, your audience wants you to do well, So if you just think about that, like, they're there, to come see you play. Like, they want you to do well. They're cheering for you, So I don't get nervous at all. I mean, I've just done so many gigs now at this point as well that, I've been there and done that so many times that I don't get nervous at all. And my warm-up routine, I don't warm up at all, actually. I think some people may think that I practice a lot, but to be completely honest, I really don't. Like when I make these intros on YouTube, just speaking of that, the process is literally I come up here, I turn the power on my Furman power conditioner, and I just hit record, and this is what comes out of me. I'll do it in 1 or 2 takes. Maybe that second take, I hear something a little bit differently where, I was like, oh, that would be cool actually to add this in or whatever. So I'll do it on a second take. But I really don't think about it all too much. I don't have a warm-up routine. I don't practice very much. I just pick up the instrument and just go for it, and I just go all by feel and what it is that I'm hearing. And, for me, I don't like to play guitar a lot because I like to kind of let it just come to me. I get different ideas this way, and I play differently when I don't play all the time. Where if I just come in fresh to it, like maybe say if I don't play guitar for a week, which is very rare because I'm teaching or I'm doing sessions or I'm doing gigs or whatever it is that I'm doing musically, I play constantly. But when I don't play for say maybe 2 or 3 days or something like this, it's nice because I have new ideas and a new approach to playing guitar because I haven't played in those several days. So I like that. It changes up my playing and it changes up my technique maybe a little bit, or my phrasing or whatever it does differently, So I don't really have a warm-up routine, and I don't really practice all too often. So, like I say, okay, yeah. Next question here. Mike says here, this may be a good question. Using your amp for your bass clean and having 2 or 3 drive stages and a boost at the end, what would your process be for evening out your volume throughout? I'm not really trying to even out my volume. I mean, if I have so for my pedal board, I have that Nobles ODR1 and then an RC boost beforehand. So with using the RC boost before the Nobles, all I'm doing is just adding more gain to the overall guitar sound. I'm not increasing the volume. I'm just using it to just increase the level of gain, because sometimes I need just a little bit more gain under the fingers. And, for playing a solo or playing an ID lick or something like this. So I like to just increase the amount of gain, and I like to be able to go somewhere with this guitar sound where I'm not limited to just one particular gain stage. I can really go somewhere with having the RC boost before the Nobles and then the Boss GE7 EQ after the Nobles, because now in this case, I want to increase the volume. I want to add mid-range to my guitar solo, right? So that I can really get this guitar to really jump out in a mix. So I don't really like to even out the volume. I do run a volume pedal after the Boss GE7, but I'm mainly using that just for swells and stuff, just so I can keep the level of gain the exact same, and it doesn't change the amount of gain. It just changes the overall volume, so it's really cool for swells, like I was saying, and stuff like that. And it's also nice, too, just because you can just have a global volume. You just have a global, basically master volume at that point, where you can really control the overall volume of this guitar. So that's the only thing that I do there, but I never stack any drive pedals. I don't do that. I just stack like a clean boost, so the RC boost in this case, off of already my main gain sound, which is either the Nobles ODR1 or that King of Tone pedal that I use as well. But I really like to look at it where with these different drives, I want to have a different EQ. So the Nobles is kind of my go-to drive that I use for this more, just low to medium gain style drive that has a lot more low end. And then, like I was saying, I can boost it from there and increase the amount of gain and hit it with the GE7 afterward to be able to really get the solo to jump out. But I don't stack the Nobles and the King of Tone together because it's just way too much gain. I just use one or the other, but the approach is the exact same in that I'm increasing the level of gain, and I can still go somewhere with this overall guitar sound. I'm not just stuck with this one particular gain sound, if that makes sense. So let's see here. We have Earl in the house. Hey, Earl, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Hey, Justin, good to see you. You're still working hard. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate that. Definitely. Yeah, I absolutely love doing these videos. I love going live here on YouTube and connecting with everybody. And, I should go ahead and take the time to mention here, folks, that these live streams are truly a donation of time. So any and all support is really appreciated. If you guys feel like you got something out of this live stream and you guys would like to support me in this channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, or throw a little super chat here in today's live stream. Once again, folks, any and all support is really appreciated. Or if you guys want to sign up for a one-on-one consultation, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. These are just really amazing consultations and really amazing lessons. It's all based around what you actually want to learn and what you want to get out of it. So it's all shot, this setup that you see here in today's live stream, this is the exact setup that I use within these lessons. It's all pro video and pro audio, and it's just really awesome, man. I mean, there's no glitching up, no freezing up. It just really, really works well. So send me an email today at jkm4231@gmail.com. Be happy to get you some more information on this, and be happy to get you down in the schedule today. So once again, folks, any and all support is really appreciated. Just send me an email, jkm4231@gmail.com. Let's see. Here we go. We've got Pedro in the house. Pedro says here, Ibanez's have come a long way. They have great models nowadays. Oh yeah, definitely. They're a really solid company. Let's see. Cheap and affordable models for beginners. Yeah. Let's see. We've got Sean in the house. Hey, Sean, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Regular viewer and regular supporter. Really appreciate you. Let's see. Hey, bro, I met two guys from Nashville on a gig over the weekend. They were working for the same entertainment company I'm with. They do the Broadway thing. Cool. That's awesome. Let's see. I'm way behind in these comments. Sorry, folks. Jimmy says here, the track thing disappoints me too. Yeah, for sure, man. It's really a shame. It's too bad, but it's just what all of these bands are doing, and it depends obviously on the band, and it depends, on the music and the production and all this stuff. But I just like to see real human beings playing live, and the track thing is fine if it's in addition to the real live musicians playing. That's fine. But to just have a track completely cover a guitar solo because the player can't play the solo, I just think is not right, man. I think it's a total disservice to the fans. That's just my opinion. So, but let's see here. We got another super chat here from Inca Cal 71. Thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Sound effects. Thank you. That really means the world to me. And, once again, folks, if you guys got something out of this live stream, and you guys want to support this channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar, the PayPal tip jar, or throw a super chat here on today's live stream. Any and all support is really appreciated. Check out all of my links linked down below in the description box. I offer one-on-one consultations, one-on-one lessons. They're really, really amazing lessons. And I really stand behind the quality of these lessons. They are really, really incredible. It's the exact setup that I use here on today's live stream. It's literally the exact setup that I use on these lessons. 4K definition camera. It's all pro video and pro audio. And it just really works well. There's no glitching up, no freezing up, none of this stuff. So take your guitar playing, your musicianship to the next level. Hit me up today at jkm4231@gmail.com. Let's see. Thank you again, Inca Cal. Really appreciate the support there. Let's see. Melchor. Hopefully I said your name right. I'm sorry, man. Says here, Esquire or Telly, what's your fave? Why? Greetings from Germany. Wow, all the way from Germany. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see here. Esquire or Telly. I personally like an Esquire because I don't like the sound of neck pickups on a Telecaster. I think, honestly, they sound terrible. So I just don't need it, And I was actually talking about this a little bit ago on this live stream, but I really feel that the single coil, just the single pickup, really makes a difference when there's no neck pickup. There is a tone difference. And it's interesting because with this Esquire, right, you have a 3-position switch. So you have the first position where it's just the volume control that you have control of. Then the middle position, you have the tone control active. And even with that tone control on 10, when you switch it from position 1 to position 2, there is a top end change, even with the tone control active. So for me, the way that I like a Telly to sound and the way that I approach it is I like to get this chicken picking thing happening where I like to have a maple board and I like to just have it on position 1 with just the volume control. That's it. Just so that this way I'm getting the most amount of top end possible. So when I'm going in for this hybrid picking, this chicken picking kind of thing, I have all of this top end happening, so I'm getting all of this little percussive stuff to really jump out in my playing and the overall guitar sound. So for me, I much prefer a Esquire for sure. I don't like the sound of neck pickups on a Telecaster, and if I'm going for that neck pickup, that single coil sound, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Strat. That's what my thinking is with that. So I just don't need a Telly. To me, the Esquire, just a single pickup, is totally the way to go with a maple board, in my opinion. Now with a Strat, I like a rosewood board. To me, it sounds better. But, if I'm going for that very snappy, very bright, very aggressive kind of top end thing, I like to have a maple board and just a single pickup, just the Esquire. So, hey, we got Ben in the house. Hey, Ben, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. They are really great lessons. Taken one myself. Yes, you have. Really appreciate that as well, Ben. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, these lessons are really amazing, folks. I really stand behind it. The quality is very, very good. It's not just filmed on an iPhone or something, with shaky audio and shaky video. It's very, very professional. And I really wanted it to be good when I set up everything. And, before I started offering this stuff, I really wanted it to be dialed in so that, people were really, enjoying these lessons. And for me, I'm a quality snob. I like this stuff to be very good. And I'm very particular in what it is that I choose and what I gear-wise, what I use. I really want it to be a very, very solid product, and no matter what it is that I'm doing. So I really stand behind this stuff. So once again, folks, send me an email today, jkm4231@gmail.com. Be happy to get you down on the schedule today. Let's see, Magic Matt's in the house. Hey, man, how's it going? Longtime supporter here as well. Really appreciate you, Matt. Thank you. My band played a gig once that had their backing vocals on a track. Didn't work at all. Sounded very unnatural and fake. Probably works better in a stadium setting. Definitely doesn't work in a club. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time with the tracks, like they're fired off by a drummer, or even, much bigger bands actually have a playback engineer that will just, control all the tracks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the timing, it has to be, definitely has to be right. You have to fire off those tracks right at the right time, so that the whole band is in sync, and that, you don't want the backing track to be at one speed where the band is playing at a different speed, off of the click. But, yeah, definitely. I mean, it can sound very fake for sure. I mean, depending on how it's mixed, and, really with these tracks as well, something that I would say is that you really want to take the time to really dial in the tracks, really EQ them. You don't want to just take stems just from the recording and then just play to that in a live mix. You want to take each individual stem and each individual track and really EQ these tracks so that it really sounds good in a live environment. You don't want to just take it straight from the recording and then just play to that, because it definitely will sound very unnatural and fake. If you're going to be using tracks, you have to take the time to EQ them for sure. And you really want to take each individual stem and really EQ everything. But yeah, it's really unfortunate, man. I mean, you're seeing it, with cover bands. I mean, it's literally in every, pretty much in every band. I mean, I guess if you go downtown Broadway here in Nashville, those guys are playing live, but, it's also a lot of, butchered versions of, these cover songs, to be honest. It's kind of a drunken, bastardized version of some of these songs, but, hey, I mean, they're down there playing, which is cool, so I respect it. But, yeah. So there's that, but yeah, that's a huge thing, man. I mean, a lot of bands on tracks nowadays, and it's changed a lot. So let's see. Here we go. Charles is in the house. Hey, Charles, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Let's see. If you're not playing live and doing them justice, then don't play them. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love hearing live musicians, real human beings playing music. And, it's just always such a bummer, man, when I just hear the tracks take over, it just really sucks. It's just such a bummer. And I love live music so much. Like, I just say all of this stuff because I'm so passionate about live music. I love it so much. It's so fun. And obviously, it's what I've done for the past decade now at this point. So I just absolutely love it. But yeah, it's just a bummer. It's really a bummer when the tracks are just taking over. Magic Matt says here, sorry, it was a band on the bill, not my band. Imagine the horror. Oh, man. Let's see. Charles says here, I don't know. I'm still hungover. Wow. Well, sounds lit, man. That's cool. Hopefully you're drinking up on the Powerade or some water with some electrolytes or something to recover. Let's see. 1002 Northeast says here, do you have a favorite keyboard player in Nashville? Oh man, there's a lot of great players. Off the top of my head, man, there's so many. I mean, there's so many great players. I wouldn't say I have a particular favorite. There's just a lot of really great players. So it's hard to just narrow it down to just one. That's like with guitar players. It's hard to just choose just one guitar player because there's so many guitar players that have influenced me. So a lot of favorites for sure, though. Charles says here, thanks for having me. Of course, man. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you being here. It's awesome. Let's see. By the way, there ain't nothing like sitting down in a bar and just having vocals, acoustic guitar, pedal steel, and upright bass. Love that vibe. Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always a good time. Just sit down in a bar and just have an ice cold beer, man, and just enjoy some live music. Oh man, and that beer just goes down so good, man. It's just every time. Let's see. Jimmy says here, cut my teeth on drunk and bastardized versions. Hey, that's all right though. But that's cool. Like, just getting out and playing, that's the biggest thing, man. Like getting out, playing with other musicians and just playing to a crowd, playing to people. It's so important, and that's something that is really missing from a lot of musicians today, right? Because of social media and all of this stuff. There's a lot of players now that just sit there and they play in bedrooms, and they don't work with other musicians. They don't collaborate. They don't do stuff. And, it's just really frustrating, and it's just, man, that's what music's all about. It's all about performing with other musicians, taking your art to the people. And instead of just making social media videos, get out and play with other musicians. It's really how you learn. It's so, so important for sure. And I think that is definitely something that is missing from a lot of musicians today is, everybody just makes these videos on social media, but they don't get out and play. So I always respect when musicians are out, they're playing, man. They're playing with other musicians. They're doing gigs. They're playing to people. That's what it's all about. Let's see. Charles says here, oh, and you can't forget the fiddler. Hell yeah. Let's see. Ben says here, who are your influences? Oh, man, I have a lot of different influences. I grew up loving Motley Crue. Like, I loved Mick Mars's playing. I love his guitar tone and his sound. And I love that it's not so perfect, It's just very raw, but you can tell that he's fighting it, man. He's going for it. And, I really, really like that kind of style of guitar playing. I love Jimmy Page, of course, too. Who else did I like? I used to love like heavier, and I still do. I love heavy music too. Like Metallica or, Megadeth. I mean, in my early days, that's what I used to cover with a lot of these bands that I was playing in. Was Megadeth and Metallica and stuff like this. So that was a huge influence early on as well. I don't really play that kind of style of music anymore, really, but I still enjoy it. But I love all kinds of different styles of music. I love George Benson. He's an amazing guitar player. I love that he sings and he plays guitar at the same time. That's a really cool way to go about playing solos and playing guitar, because it forces you to phrase better because you have to take a breath to sing, right? And that's something with playing guitar. You can just play a million notes forever and not have to take a break or take a breath whatsoever, right? So it's really cool with George how he does that, and he implements his singing in with his guitar playing. It really creates better phrasing, and he's just amazing. So he was another influence for sure. So those are just some. I mean, there's so many. I could go on and on about it for sure. But yeah. Let's see. Bent Tom says here, at Justin Meyers, thank you so much for showing what it really is like to be a working musician. You are brilliant. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. That's really, really awesome, man. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I work hard on, making these videos for you guys, and, I really want to share my experience with you guys. That's the whole idea with this channel. So, I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Pedro says here, have to go, guys. Take care. See you all around. Thank you, Pedro. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time for sure. And Really appreciate the support. Longtime supporter, Pedro, folks, has been a longtime supporter of this channel. Let's see. Jimmy says here, you're a young talent with an old soul. Thank you, Jimmy. I really appreciate that, man. That's awesome. You know, you've been a longtime supporter yourself, and that really means a lot to me. So thank you. Pentom, Jimmy, 100%. Thank you. Appreciate that. 615, the guitar's in the house. Good show today, man. Time to get on to the day's activities. Have a great day, Justin. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here as always. Another longtime supporter. And yeah, always look forward to doing these live streams, folks. You know, these live streams are just amazing. You know, we've had some incredible engagement in today's live stream. And once again, folks, I should go ahead and take the time to mention here that, you know, if you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you guys want to support this channel, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, or throw a little, super chat here on today's live stream. And something that I always forget to mention on this thing is to hit the damn like button. You know, this like button, it really helps get the live stream out there to different folks. And it's something I always forget to mention, but hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, hit the damn subscribe button. Come on in and join the family, folks. You know, this channel is really amazing. It's incredible. And I'm just teaching people from all over the world from this channel. I'm playing on people's songs. I mean, it's just incredible what this channel has turned into and what it's become. So come on in and join the family. You know, it's a really awesome channel, really great community of really amazing people. And, you know, if you guys want to support the channel, I have several other links linked down below in the description box. You know, I offer one-on-one lessons, one-on-one consultations. And just send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com. I'd be happy to teach you, and I'd be happy to turn this consultation into whatever the hell that you want it to be. You know, if you want it to be a consultation on the music business, or about your pedal board setup, or about playing guitar or music, whatever it is that you want it to be, I'd be happy to turn it into that. So send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com. Really, really amazing platform. And this setup that you are seeing and that you are hearing right now is the exact setup that I use for these lessons. So come on in and send me an email, jkm4231@gmail.com. Be happy to teach you today. Be happy to get you down on the schedule. Let's see. John says here, how do you go about landing a big touring gig in Nashville? You know, I mean, it's really all about who you know and, you know, the right timing of somebody not being available for a gig. You know, it could be something that you're doing just for a couple weekends, or maybe it's a weekend, or maybe it is a full-time thing, right? Like, that's kind of the whole thing with Nashville is it's really a for-hire situation where you're just an independent contractor and you're brought on to these touring gigs, and you know, it goes for as long as it goes for, right? I mean, if the singer decides that, you know, they want to stay home and just write songs, well, now you're back again to figuring out what your gig is going to be and trying to find that next touring gig. So, you know, it's really all in who you know, your connections. I mean, the right timing of somebody leaving a gig, and, you know, it's all pretty obvious, you know, really. You know, so it's fun though, for sure, man. I love to perform. It's always cool. Shit. Damn. Excuse me. 1002 Northeast says here, truth be told, the reason why tracks became conventional is because clubs couldn't afford to pay full bands anymore. Drum machines were the beginning of the end. Yeah. You know, I think it's like, also the other thing that I would just say with a lot of that, because you hear a lot of people say like, oh man, DJs took gigs away from cover bands and stuff, right? And it's kind of like, to be totally honest, and it may be kind of weird for me to say this, that I'm a musician, right? But to be honest, I mean, there are so many just awful cover bands, to be completely honest. And I know for myself, man, like whenever I'm in a club and I'm hearing a really, really rough cover band, I don't even want to be there, you know, to be totally honest. I just want to leave. And to be completely honest, I honestly would rather listen to a DJ than a garbage cover band, to be honest. I would rather just listen to a DJ and enjoy my beer and just hang out. Whenever there's a really bad cover band, I just don't even want to bother. Now, I know with DJs, they can obviously afford to work for less because it's just them, right? It's just them doing their thing, just, playing these tunes and, DJing, right? But, to be completely honest, I mean, if you are a great cover band, you should have no shortage of work, man. There are clubs all over that want a really great cover band. So I don't know. I mean, just in my humble opinion, I think with the track thing, with a lot of these bands, they want to bring the best show possible, right? And that's really the thinking. Now, I think it's just not cool, just in my opinion, with the tracks, where if you're using the tracks to cover a particular part because the musician cannot perform it live, I think that is unfair. But, if you're using certain tracks to elevate a performance where maybe the music has, hip hop elements to it, then the tracks are useful, and the tracks also control a lot of other stuff. So for big production shows, they're very in-depth. But, I just would say with the track things, if the musician cannot play the part live, it should not be on tracks. Whatever that you are giving your audience live is what you should be giving them. So, let's see. Jimmy says, Lynn drums, I was there. I'm not sure what that is, if that's just a conversation going on in the chat box. But let's see. I remember when Arranger keyboards became a thing. That's when pressing play proliferated. The audience never complained, so club owners loved the savings. Yeah, no. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, DJs can work for a lot less, compared to a cover band. But with that said, there are so many gigs out there. I mean, if you are a great cover band, there are all kinds of things that you can establish with these clubs, whether it's like a residency or maybe you're playing a casino. I mean, if you are a really good band, you should have no shortage of work for sure. There is all kinds of gigs out there for sure. But with that said, I think a lot of it too is it's just there was so many rough cover bands that when, man, you can just bring in a DJ and they hit play and it's just, it's better. So let's see. It bugs me to play with a click and in-ears. Yeah, definitely. I mean, in-ears are just really tough for a guitar player. It's just hard because you're not hearing the room. You're not hearing the amp behind you. You're hearing this guitar sound and the overall mix just within a little earbud. And that's just really tough. For me, like I grew up playing with a wedge with my amp behind me, maybe some side fills even on stage as well, where you're just getting this guitar sound from all over, maybe even a little bit of bleed from the front of house. Like you're just getting this guitar sound from all over, and it really affects the way that you play. You really respond as a player to what it is that you're hearing in the room, right? The energy of the room, the crowd, the audience, the guitar sound that's behind you. For me, I like having a real live guitar amp behind me hitting my back, and being able to hear this room, and it's just really inspiring to play. So when your guitar sound is just sent into a little earbud directly in your ears, it really is hard, man. It's not inspiring to play at all. So I would much rather have a wedge. But speaking of tracks and speaking of, clicks and guides and all of this stuff, that's why so many bands are on in-ear monitors, right? Because you don't want a guide or a particular guide that's just going on in your in-ears that's counting off the chorus section, right? Like chorus 2, 3, 4, right? You don't want that blaring through a loud-ass wedge on stage. You want it just here in your in-ears so it's all silent. So that's another reason why in-ears are so popular now with a lot of bands, because these bands are all playing to clicks, they're playing to tracks, they're playing to a guide, where a guide is just an actual voice that's recorded that will tell you, like, okay, the intro or the verse or the chorus, so that the whole band is on the same page as far as what section that you are entering into within the song. So, it's that's why in-ears are just so popular now. So, let's see. Lin drums were the earliest drum machines that were used in studios. It was the beginning of sequencing. Okay. I did many of sessions where there was no real drummer, not the same. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think with the technology, with like MIDI keyboards and stuff like this, to be able to program a drum sound, I think it's convenient and it's nice that when you have a riff idea, you can at least kind of mess around with it and at least create something and have some kind of drums in the background where, you can play your riff and songwrite to the actual drum beat and come up with something, just to get like an idea. But when it comes to actually recording real music, yeah, definitely live drums, definitely over like a MIDI keyboard or something, or just a sample. I would much rather have a live drummer recording this live drums for sure. It just really adds a vibe to the track and to the song. But I think drum machines and like like a MIDI keyboard to program drums, it's a really great tool to demo out a song, to just have a rough idea of like, okay, well, this is what it would sound like with drums, and you can songwrite and come up with these different ideas and stuff. So I try to think of it, positively. I think it is cool, especially that you could have a little home studio and be able to, just knock out these drums without actually having to have like a real live room with a bunch of microphones and a whole drum kit and everything. You can at least just knock it out from a MIDI keyboard. So it's pretty nice, Let's see. When you've played with the high-profile artists you've played for, how do you go about interacting with them? Must be interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not really, you just get along, right? I mean, you can't have an ego, it's not about you, right? I mean, you're just hired on and, you could always be replaced. So you got to know your role. I mean, as a guitar player, you're just there to provide a service, dude. That's all it is. I mean, you're an independent contractor a lot of the time where you're hired on and, you just get along, you got to have a sense of humor, you got to be a good guy to be around. You got to be fun to be around, kind of all those things. So. Jimmy says here, good tools for demos. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, with the MIDI keyboard and stuff. But yeah, once again, folks, if you feel like you got something out of this live stream and you'd like to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar, I've got several links linked down below in the description box as well. The Venmo and PayPal tip jars linked down there. I offer one-on-one lessons. So feel free to contact me at jkm4231@gmail.com. I'd be happy to get you down on the schedule today and teach you. It's a really amazing platform. This setup that you're seeing and hearing right now is the exact setup that I use for these lessons. So, if you guys want to take your guitar playing, your musicianship, if you want to learn more about the music business, whatever it is that you want this consultation to be on, this is all stuff that we could discuss and go over within these one-on-ones. So, feel free to send me an email at jkm4231@gmail.com. And, these live streams are truly a donation of time. So any and all support is really appreciated, It really means a lot to me, and it really helps me out with making these live streams and these videos, because there's definitely time involved, and it takes a lot of equipment to do this stuff. So any and all support is really appreciated. And check out all the links linked down below in the description box. There's all kinds of ways you could support this channel. Let's see. Jimmy says here, you seem like a fun guy to be stuck on a bus with. Yeah, definitely. I like to have fun, I like to enjoy, music's all about having fun, that's why I got into it. It's unfortunate, when you pursue this as a business, there's just a lot of egos out there. There's a lot of people that look at this as a competition, which I've never looked at it in that way. But it just is what it is, that's just how people approach this stuff. But yeah, for myself, the way I look at it, man, I like to have fun. Music's all about having fun, and just enjoying it, enjoying the experience, and just playing some music for people. And that's what music and art is all about. It's all about sharing this with the people and getting out there and new experiences and meeting people. And, that's what art and music is all about, is taking it to the people. So, it's a lot of fun. I definitely like to have fun out on the road for sure. So, yeah, that's what I always love about performing. And that's what I do love about touring for sure. It's definitely cool. So, let's see. We got Ben here. I recall in a lesson we talked about having a lot of irons in the fire to establish that leverage. Yeah. I think John Vienna would take a knowledge nugget from it like I did. Yeah, definitely, man. That's so important. I mean, you got to have your hands into all kinds of different things, man. Like, you can't just be dependent on one thing, just depending on the road, or just depending on playing on somebody's song, or just depending on one particular thing. You got to be very versatile nowadays as a musician. You can't just do one thing and that's it. You have to be involved in all kinds of other things. And, that's definitely true, man, for sure. It's so important, and, I think so many people get caught up in that, especially with the road and going on tour, because it's like, oh man, you're living this rock star life, right? You have all these amazing experiences, and you have this gig, and oh yeah, you're collecting per gig, and you're earning this money and you're making a living at it. And, everything is all cherry and great. But then when that gig comes to an end, now what are you doing? Right. And that's the biggest thing, is that I think a lot of people find themselves in, predicaments like that, where it's like, oh man, that was totally unexpected, and now you don't have a gig, and now you're not earning anything. So it's all about having all kinds of irons in the fire, fingers in all kinds of different pies, to make a living at it for sure. You don't ever want to just be stuck just doing one particular thing. Let's see. 1002 Northeast says here, do you use volume pedals to create more dynamic range? And when you're positioned on stage, do you prefer to be closer to the bass player or the drummer? So I just use volume pedals after the Boss GE7. And I like to just use it as an overall volume where I can still retain the same amount of gain that I'm using. And I can just swell in with this volume. So it's cool for parts that, say if I have like a reverb or a long delay on or something like this, it's a really cool sound when I can swell in and keep the same amount of gain, and just be able to swell in this particular volume pedal in this particular part. That's a very verby, very wet kind of a guitar sound. It's just a really cool sound. So that's the way that I like to use it. And I also like to use it as just a overall global master volume. So for example, like when I'm sound checking at a club or something, I can keep the volume pedal back just a little bit. And then when there's bodies there, right, there's a crowd, there's people there, the overall mix and the overall guitar sound is going to change because you have people there, right? And they're absorbing sound. So you have to be able to make this adjustment for when you do the sound check to the gig, because the volume is going to change. With a bunch of people there, they're going to absorb volume. So I like to just increase the volume pedal just a little bit, So that's the way that I like to use it. And I like to use it to swell, like I was talking about earlier. And let's see, do you prefer to be closer to the bass player or the drummer? Normally I'm on stage right, so it'll be stage right, and then center vocal, and then stage left bass player, and then the drummer behind us, Or I've also worked with bands, which is actually a really good way to do it, is they'll position the drummer on the corner of the stage. So instead of it being, the drums right behind all of the vocal mics on stage, which really is not good because those drums are getting into all of those live mics that are on stage. Whereas if you kitty corner the drummer on stage, it actually does help with those drums not getting into the microphones as much. That always just drives me crazy with drummers. Like if they play too hard, they're going to really dominate the overall mix. So it's important to work with a drummer that plays very balanced and doesn't hit very hard, but it's still aggressive enough to really drive the band and to really drive this mix. But you don't want them to play too hard, because if they play too hard, they are going to dominate the overall mix. You know, you're not going to hear guitar, you're not going to hear vocals because they're playing too hard, you know, and that's normally a sign of a very not professional drummer if they play that hard. That's how you know that they're a very novice player, for sure. You really got to listen into the other musicians that you're playing with and play balanced. Let's see, Sudsy McDrinkin. Okay. Let's see. You got to have your hands into all kinds of things. I don't get it. Seriously, though, do you prefer to put your dry or wet or both in effects loop? I don't use any kind of effects loop. I just plug straight into the amp. You know, normally I'll play like a deluxe reverb or something like this, so I'll just use pedals. I don't do any kind of loopers or loops or any of that stuff. I just plug straight in with the pedal board, and then I'll just dial it in using my ears to, adjust to whatever kind of guitar sound I'm going for. So, let's see. Jimmy says here, completely agree about the drummer. It's make or break when it comes to a drummer live. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really frustrating to work with a drummer that plays that hard, man. It's there is no point, man. No point to do that. You'll really, really kill the mix, you know. And there's just egos out there, you know. Sometimes these drummers, they think it's all about them, you know. And they'll just try to dominate a mix, and I don't really get it, you know. But that's a very novice kind of player. You know, you really want to work with your other musicians, you know, and really gel and fit into a mix, you know. So that's that there. But yeah, once again, folks, if you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream, feel free to throw a little love in the Venmo tip jar or the PayPal tip jar. I've got several other links linked down below in the description box and ways that you can support this channel. You know, I can't believe I've already been going for an hour and a half now. That is crazy, man. Wow. This live stream has just flown by today, folks, and I got to tell you, the engagement in today's live stream has been absolutely incredible, so thank you so much for that. That really means a lot to me. This live stream has really been incredible today, so thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I did want to mention as well that I will be doing this next week as well, so every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, not Eastern, not, Pacific Time. This is Central Standard Time. I'm coming to you live here from Nashville, Tennessee, folks. I mean, come on. So every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, as long as I'm here in my home studio, I'll be going live here. So come on and join us. These are really wonderful live streams, and just keep it down on your calendar. Every Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, tell your friends about it. Come on and join the family. This is a really wonderful community. And if you are brand new here and you have not hit the subscribe button, come on in and join the family. Hit the subscribe button. As I say, it's a really amazing community of people here on the channel. It's just really incredible what this channel has become and what it's done for my career and what it's done for me. So, and it's all because of you guys. So thank you guys for supporting me. Really means a lot to me. That's really why I do these live streams, is to be able to show my appreciation for everybody out there, and to show my love, and to, show my support for you guys. And I really look forward to doing these. It's really awesome. It's a lot of fun. We get people from all over the world that join us here. So really cool. 1002 Northeast says here, thanks for this gathering today. I'm going to Venmo you. Have a nice Sunday. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the support. Always means so much to me. And let's see here. We got another comment here. It's almost pasta time here in Eastern Standard Time. Great live stream, Justin. Keep doing what you do. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks so much, Jimmy. I really appreciate it. And with that, folks, I'm going to sign off in today's live stream. But once again, if you guys feel like you got something out of this and you would like to support this channel, check out all the links linked down below in the description box. There's several ways you can support this channel. Just really helps me out with this, with making these live streams and making these videos. And check out my other content that I have live here on YouTube. But once again, keep it down on your calendar. Next Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, I will be going live here on YouTube. And that is every Sunday going forward as long as I'm in town. So put it down on your calendar. Come on and join us again. And once again, I always look forward to doing these. It's really awesome. But with that, that is all for today, folks. I really appreciate all the support as always. Y'all take care. And we will see you next Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned for more videos coming up very soon here on YouTube. Thank you again. Take care.